Let's talk about something pretty revolutionary. What if you and your neighbors could just unplug from the big power companies? Today, we're diving into an incredible idea that's putting energy control, literally, back into the hands of communities.
So let's get right into it. And it all really starts with a problem that, well, I'm pretty sure every single one of us knows all too well. You know that feeling, right? You open your electricity bill and you just have zero control over the numbers you see. You're basically stuck with these giant providers, and the prices, they only ever seem to go one way. And it's not down.
But what if you could change that? Just imagine for a second, your apartment building, your whole street, maybe even your entire town, generating its own clean power from solar panels on the roofs and then sharing it. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? A bit of a far-off dream?
Well, guess what? In Austria, it's not a dream anymore, it's actually happening. All thanks to this new law, and please bear with my pronunciation here, the Erneuerbaren Ausbaugesetz. Yeah, it's a mouthful, so let's just call it the EAG for short. This is the piece of legislation, the law, that makes this whole revolution possible.
Okay, so how does this law actually work in practice? Well, it all comes down to one really powerful and surprisingly simple idea.
They call it an Energiegemeinschaft, which, literally just means energy community. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a group that could be people in an apartment building, a few small businesses, even whole towns, getting together and deciding, hey, let's take control of our own energy.
And look, the goals here go way beyond just saving a few bucks. We're talking about strengthening the local economy, keeping money right there in the community. It's about gaining real independence from those crazy volatile energy markets. And of course, it's a massive win for the environment, so it's good for your wallet and it's good for your whole town.
And what's really cool is that this is not a one-size-fits-all deal. The whole system is super flexible. So say you live in an apartment building. There's a model for that, the GEA, designed to share power from a single rooftop system, and that's where you get the absolute best financial return. But what if you're a whole neighborhood or a town? Well, there's another model, the EEG, that helps you share power across a wider area to really maximize your savings on the grid. And they've even got a model for bigger corporations with offices all over the place to share their green power across the entire country. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, the community stuff is great, for sure. But let's talk about the part we're all really curious about. What does this actually mean for your bank account? Because the financial incentives here, this is where things get really interesting.
All right, check this out. If you form one of those local energy communities, the EEG model, your grid costs, a huge chunk of your bill, can drop by 57%. Just like that. That's over half of that cost just gone, simply because the power is being made and used right there in your neighborhood.
But hold on, it gets even better. Remember that model for apartment buildings, the GEA? Because the power is being generated and used on the exact same property, you're not even touching the public grid. And what does that mean? Your grid costs can drop to zero, a full 100% reduction. Wow!
And that's not even the end of it. On top of those massive grid savings, the government also completely waives certain electricity taxes and renewable energy fees for these communities. So that's another 100% reduction on a totally different part of your bill. I mean, what an incredible incentive.
So when you start adding all of this up, the slash grid costs, the eliminated taxes, the financial case just becomes undeniable. Honestly, the direct savings alone are enough to make you wonder, why aren't we doing this everywhere?
Okay, but that brings up the big, obvious question, right? The idea is brilliant, the savings are real, but setting up a legal entity, dealing with grid operators, handling billing for dozens of your neighbors? I mean, that sounds like an absolute nightmare, doesn't it?
And you'd be right. It is a challenge. But here's the thing. It's a solved problem. This is where specialized services like a company called Sostrom come into the picture. They basically become your essential partner, handling all that gnarly complexity for you. The contracts, the billing, the taxes, so the community can just, enjoy the benefits. They've really boiled this whole daunting process down into a simple 5-step roadmap. First, they do the math for you, making sure the whole project is actually feasible and economical. Then, they handle all the legal stuff, the founding and registration. After that, it's all the contracts, with the grid, with all your members. They manage the day-to-day admin, and finally, they take care of the ongoing billing and tax stuff. It's truly an end-to-end service that makes it all possible. And look, you don't have to just take my word for it. This is a quote from Claudia Streisnig, a local mayor. She said the collaboration was, and I'm quoting here, uncomplicated for our municipality from the very beginning. Now, getting any public official to call a big administrative project uncomplicated, that's some pretty powerful proof that this system really works.
Here's another one, this time from the chairman of an energy community himself, Christian Stockinger.
He points to the billing, which, let's be honest, is often the trickiest part of these things, and says it worked without a problem and exceeded my expectations. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about how smoothly the long-term operations are handled.
All right, so let's just pull back for a second. We've talked about the savings, we've talked about the logistics, but what's the big picture here? What does this all really mean?
Because sure, the financial savings are the hook that gets you interested. But the real story here, it's about empowerment. It's about neighbors actually working together, strengthening their own local economy, and building a more secure, more resilient, and sustainable future for themselves. It really transforms energy from just a bill you have to pay into a shared community asset.
And when it comes right down to it, this model provides the tools for genuine energy independence. It puts the power, literally, back in your hands. So the only real question left is, what could your community achieve if it had its own power?